It was a little bit of a nightmare, but I knew if he got out, then he'd have the speed. And he's got a very good turn of foot, as you can see. I know it's a well-used expression, but he does find heaps. And under pressure, and he came into this race. I couldn't be more happy with him. And the team have done a great job. Obviously, I'm lucky to train horses for Sheikh Hamdan because he's been a very avid supporter. You know, so we're obviously all thrilled. And Angus Gold sourced the horse for Sheikh Hamdan at the in Book 2 Newmarket sales, and sent me to look at him. And he was a tiny little thing, but he came from a very stoutly a really stout family. And Angus was quite insistent we got into it. We possibly could, if I could stand. But look at the early. But you know, he's done nothing but thrive. And I should have known better because, you know, I trained a filly called Dominica, and she wasn't even 15 hands, and she won the King's Stand. So it's not always about big horses. He's grown, as you can see, he's a lovely looking horse, and he's got a lot of quality. I thought in the paddock. I know I train him, but he had more quality than the others. If you really look at him, he's a beautiful horse, and we're so lucky to have him.
It was really hard to pick a standout because they all looked in terrific shape. Did he come out of that Ascot race as well as you'd had hoped he would?
Well, yeah, he got a beautiful ride there again. You know, I mean, Daniel Neal. You know, I think it was a solid Group 2 that race, and he could have won it 6 lengths. He could have won here by much easier. You know, if he'd had the chance to. But obviously that's tactics, and you know, luckily it came off today. I'd have been pretty sore if he hadn't been able to win, because I thought I had him in, you know, really good order. And obviously it was a tactical race, but luckily he came out on top.
It was a thrilling race on paper. It was a thrilling race to watch as well. We've been really lucky this afternoon. Were you confident coming into today's race by any chance? I mean, there's a lot of good horses, but you've got so much faith in him. How did you feel this morning?
I thought we'd win. All the indications were that we had him right. And you know, he's done nothing but please me. The trouble is, a horse like this, he's quite exuberant workhorse. So my daughter rides him, David Croft rides him most of the time. My daughter's 15, she rides him not, she's so light, and she's a very good rider. George Tregoning, who's here today, has ridden him in the past plenty of times. Hallie Morosky rides him out. She's very, very good. Just a matter of keeping the right people on him, and hence I put my 15-year-old daughter on. But
is it lovely having the family involved and at this kind of level as well?
Yeah, I mean, I was speaking to Gary Moore about you know, recruiting staff, and Gary Moore, and you know, we say, well, the family all get involved, and this is how we do it. This is how it's so much easier to do that, because you know, we all come home and tell all the stories, and hey, you know all about this. So you know, it's a big team thing, but it's lovely having the family. I've got 3 who ride out for me every morning, so it makes it fun.
So you're not short of staff, but clearly you've got some really
I'm very short of staff, send more.
You've got built up a good team around you.
Yeah, I'm very lucky. I mean, obviously I left Lambourne, came to Whitesbury on the advice of Chris Harper, and he said come and join us, so I did. Started with very few horses again. Having always been training, lucky enough to be training over 100 horses, not just Sheikh Hamdan's, but loads of others, and we had to start with 30 or so, again, with no staff, literally, apart from my head lad and his wife, and virtually nobody else. But David Croft had been with every trainer, Diego David Croft as he's called. He'd been every trainer at Whitesbury, and luckily he came to me, so I was very lucky.
You must be thrilled then to be teaming up with the Harper family and providing a Group 1 winner for showcasing.
Yeah, I'm not sure about teaming up with the Harper family, but no, they've been good actually. They've been good, but showcasing, obviously he's a very good stallion, and showcasing is doing really well. I mean, this is important for this stallion, I know that, because you know he's got a top class miler, and a top class stallion needs to get a good miler, and this is it. So I hope they do really well. They'll drop my rent and put his price up, so we'll be fine.
That sounds like a really good agreement. And you gave a word about Gay Johnson Hawke, who's a good family friend as well, and the breed of this horse. How special is it to be winning at Group 1 level together?
Well, of course it is, and they're a lovely family, and Eve's done amazingly well, and she's like her grandmother Helen. She's firing in the winners left, right, and centre, and you know she's a very good trainer. and we're great friends. We sort of grew up together. We shared a greyhound together or two in the past, and we had fun doing that. We all being out doing our assistant's job and getting far too tired to go greyhound racing at night, but we did it. We had fun. So I've known the family for a long time, and it's really great that she's bred another top-class horse.
It sounds like there'll be some good stories about the greyhound racing days. Marcus, why do you love Goodwood so much? Why is it great that you've had a winner at this meeting?
Well, I mean, some winner, isn't it? I took over from Dick Hearn, as you know, years and years ago. I was with him for 14 years, and I always say with him was never a day wasted. You know, he's the most brilliant trainer, and he should have been a school teacher because we'd have all passed our exams. But anyway, he was great fun to work with, and I was very lucky. But he couldn't stand coming to this big meeting and not having a proper winner here, and luckily most times he did it, but if he didn't, it'd be a very quiet journey home. So you know, that's where it comes from. And I always think if you have a new owner or a new person coming racing for the first time, bring them here when we can race, and normal, not in this lockdown business, but when we can, bring them to Goodwood and you'll sell racing, because it's the most magnificent view here across the downs. I have to say the whole estate is run amazingly well. I've been involved in a few other things like the motor racing and things like that, and I know how well it's run. So I'm always proud if I can come here and do well.
Without a doubt. And also the Breeders' Cup Mile will have to be taken into consideration now. He's in there as joint favourite with the sponsors of Goodwood here, Unibet, at 4-1 from 14-1, joint favourite with Pinatubo. Is this potentially a long-term target from here?
Well, it's always possible, isn't it? I mean, you know, we know one thing, it's tactful speed around those tighter tracks is what you have to have. This horse has got so much pace. I mean, you know, I love watching him. You know, when I watch him at home, he'd do anything. He'll do his own, he'd work on his own if he wanted him to. He's just a pleasure to be around, but he would have the speed for it, I'm sure. But you know, there's also Champions Weekend, you know, at the end of the year, there's a lovely mile race, and he's in the Prix Jacques Le Marois, but that might come a bit too quick for him, we'll just have to see. But entirely up to Sheikh Hamdan and Angus and Richard Hills and all the rest of it to come up, or I'll help with the plan, but I'm sure Sheikh Hamdan will have his say.
Absolutely, and just finally from me, days of supersty, obviously memorable and standout occasions. Where does this rank?
This is pretty special. It's Goodwood. That's a big thing for me and for all the team. Sir Percy won the Champagne Stakes here as a 2-year-old. That was very special. But this is obviously everybody wants. I think all my owners want to win the Sussex Stakes, and I will win it for them as well. I mean, this is lovely for them because they're all involved in this horse. They've all come and seen him. I don't think any of my owners haven't seen this horse, so it's lovely.
Brilliant.
That was Chris Harper, by the way. In case you had
Marcus, obviously it's been a long time since your last Group 1. Did you ever sort of think the day was going to come again where you're going to see another Group 1 next to your name?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think, you know, you've done it once, you can do it again, can't you? I don't know. No, but seriously, I mean, it's taken a long time, but there really is. It's having the right people behind you, isn't it? To get the horse in the first place. You know, there aren't many horses like this. I mean, this is one in a million. He's probably the highest rated, possibly going to be the highest rated miler anywhere. He could be. It's quite feasible. So, you know, it's very exciting, but you know, I'm always hoping to find the next one, and hopefully we've got some nice 2-year-olds coming on.
And personally, how hard has it been for you? Have you found it sort of difficult, you know, seeing other sort of win races?
Well, it's pretty hard for my wife, I can tell you. Arabella's watching at home, and she'll be a bit relieved. I might be a bit better tempered, perhaps. And my dogs, you know, they'll be relieved as well. So you know, no, I mean, it's great for the team, but no, you know, I mean, obviously, you know, as I said, you've just got to get the horses, and hopefully, if I can get a few more horses, I can just be visiting here a bit more often, and not leaving it all to John Gosling.
And I think it's been quite a popular winner as well. You know, seeing the reception come in, you know, obviously it's mark of the man you are and everything. It's obviously a popular character within racing.
Well, I'm an old duffer with a straw hat, and Goodwood's all about straw hats, Panama hats.
With this horse, Marcus, in the spring of last year, you know, he's won the Craven, the Greenham, a recognised trial for the top mile races at 3, and then injury strikes. You know, we know that you're a very sort of affable and even-tempered man, but that must have been a real a real kick in the teeth at that point.
Well, if he hadn't had the right owner, it would have been. But luckily, I've got a very good owner. I mean, he's used to this. You know, he's seen so many horses do brilliantly well, and so many horses go wrong. It was very untimely because obviously the Guineas looked like you know, he could have featured in that really well and been thereabouts, or maybe even won it. And this has proved it really. But I have to say, I think he's improved this horse. I think he's gone from strength to strength, 3 to 4. I think he's got, you know, he's a better horse now anyway.
And then of course in the Queen Anne, racing, you know, tactics, we all know that anyone can be denied a run at pretty much any point, but again, I mean, that must have tested your patience, your...
Well, to be quite honest, I thought, you know, I'm so used to it now. I mean, I've been watching Dick Hearn train horses, you know, as I say, you know, I was with him 14 years, so I got used to seeing things go wrong, and it was, you know, it's racing, and it doesn't always go right. I mean, it'd been terrible if he got beat today, because I thought he was absolutely firing on every cylinder as he was before Ron Ascot, but, you know, to keeping him at this level, that sorts people out a bit, sorts out the men from the boys. Trainers in short trousers and the ones in long trousers, as I say before, said once before. But they, you know, you've got to keep them at this level, and that's the difficult bit. But I think we'll do it.
Mark, how small is he?
Oh, he's not small now. No, I mean he was a small yearling, but he hadn't been sort of over prepped like some horses are so over prepped. They look like ready-made race horses.
Yeah.
This horse had. He was sold by Hillwood Stud, and he was raised on a lovely place where Gay, Johnston Horton and Fulk Johnston Horton live, and Blueberry, and you know, he just thrived and thrived, and no, he's not small now.
But now he's sort of what, just 16?
Yeah, he would be. You see, and he wasn't anything that weren't anywhere near that as a yearling. And I said before, when I first saw him, I thought, well, is he too small? You know, and then. Again, the Dominica thing came up in my mind. She wasn't even 15 hands when she won the King's Stand, so there we go.
And what was the injury of Marmot?
He had a condylar stress fracture on his off four, so cannon bone going into the joint. He had it doesn't matter if it's a displaced fracture or a hairline fracture, it's still a fracture. And he basically had a hairline fracture, but it still required a screw putting in it, a lag screw. And the reason they do that is it accelerates the healing process. If you interfere with a bone like that by putting a screw in, they heal quicker and better. So that's what that was about.
And at the time, how close the call was it when you fractured the fracture?
Well, no, because you know, I wouldn't say he was that lame, you know, but he was obviously not where he had been.
It was just after work, was it?
Yeah, I was all thinking, you know, he'd have gone out and done the next bit of work, and you know, just because of the way he is, he'd have wanted to do it, and that might have been disaster. But luckily, I'm not a vet. But I was well trained in spotting lamenesses early on, and I don't need vets to tell me a horse is lame, I know myself, but that was all from Dick Hearn, you know. If it was a lame horse in the yard, he used to say to the head lad, go and get the tack and put it on and get markers on him, and then I'd have to ride him up and down the yard, and he'd say, right, where's it lame? So, you know, I did have a tough grounding from a genius, but it does help you.
And which leg was it on?
He was on off four.
Off four.
So, but you know, I mean, you handle them now, they handle a pair, so hopefully they do after today, but they did.
Because you said that the Marron might come too quickly, and if you missed that, then you may be waiting a long time to Champions Day. Jim's mentioned about you thought about sprinting with this horse. Would there be a chance you might go something like that?
You know something, my guess is that he probably won't, because I think the thing is, you don't want to buzz him up too much. I mean, he's showing he gets the mile strongly, and I think everybody will want to keep him at a mile now. I mean, he's a very good horse at a mile, so I mean, we could have done the other thing, but he could, I suppose, you know, you know, it's reasonable to think it's by showcasing was a fast horse, and he's produced Advertise, who was a very good Group 1 horse last year, trained by Martin Mead. I mean, you would think he could do either, but I think actually we've taught him to settle, and I think hopefully we'll stay there.
And the 2-year-old winner yesterday, followed by this, you talked about the sort of the quieter years. Do you really feel now the momentum is back with Martin Tregoning in his stable?
We'll see what happens in the autumn if I get the yearlings or not, because I mean, that's what it's all about. I've got to replace these horses that, you know, retire or rest of it with a lot of yearlings, and they take a lot, but we'll see. Thank you.
Well done.
That's great. Thank you very much. Thank you.